So what's up guys, the first plugin that we're going to jump into is basically a plugin and a VST all-in-one. It's made by Lunacy Audio and it's called Cube, which is basically a 3D virtual instrument. So I know like at the first glance you'll probably be like, what is this plugin? So Lunacy basically made a 3D sample morphing engine. So it's like visual instruments that allow like the creation of new sounds and like different type of samples, and you're able to morph it inside of this like 3D engine. So basically what they did was use like the vector sense, and that's like the profit from like the 1980s and things like that. So what Lunacy Audio did when it comes down to this plugin is like super dope and super amazing. So like when it comes down to it, the user is able to like use the synthesis to like make different type of movement occurs during the sounds by creating a combination of like crossfades. You know, they use like multiple sounds inside a cube to like crossfade like the X and Y axis. And then it goes a step further and it has like the third dimensions, which is like the Z axis for supporting the crosser fades, which make like a total 8-engine sound for like a 3D spatial vibe. It's totally cool. I mean, even when it comes down to that, they took it even further with the design, and they allow you to not only experiment with the movements like in between the points and the sounds and the sources, but it's like you can control the movement patterns. Yes, you can actually control the different type of movement patterns that's going on. So you can even go further into Cube by loading like your own sounds, and it has like 8 different sample banks that you can go ahead and drag and drop. It's a very easy it's a very easy interface. Everything is drag and drop. It's super friendly, and the manipulation that it can do is just like phenomenal. So yeah, just stay tuned. We're gonna jump right on into it, but I just want to dig a little bit more deeper into like the dynamics of cubes and like the actual plugin itself. So here is the melody before we open up Cube. All right, so now that we broke down Cube, its parameters, its different knobs and things like that, let's go ahead and jump right on into the plugin so I can actually show you what it can do. All right, so we got our VST open Cube, and as you can see, it looks kind of weird. Don't worry about that inside of the main interface, but we're going to definitely go over these basically knobs. What you can do is more on the sound design when you come into this one. Yeah, let's go into some of the actual factory presets of Cube, and we're going to check out the same melody that I did with their presets. So we're just going to head on over to Orbit. We're going to press this little interface in the middle that starts out with initiation, and here are the factory presets. I have a couple of bonus presets as well, and then this is where I'm going to start to derive my own presets and put it inside a user. If you guys want to check that out and get that, go ahead and drop Cube inside of the comments, and I got y'all. So let's start with away. All right, here we go. Same melody. That's crazy. That just changed the whole vibe of the melody that I was just doing. And of course I would just clean it up, clean the effects up, take out some of that distortion and some of the reverb, and yeah, but that's crazy. That just turned the whole melody into a new vibe. But let's keep going through the presets. Now you can also come over here and you can control the dynamics. So and then you can control the filter. beginning, you could just come over here to the random FX, presets, or the random orbit presets, and you can just click away and find what you like. But there's so many presets when it comes down to the factory and the bonus presets that you're going to get when you get Cube. So there's so many to choose from. Let's go through a couple of more presets. Oh, that's crazy. Hit the random. Hit out some more. Basically knobs. What you can do is more on the sound design when you come into this one. So we're going to start over here with the sounds. So once you come over to sounds, there's two different ways that you can do this when manipulating or making your sound design. You can use the presets that come inside a Cube plugin, or you can go ahead and drag and drop in your own sounds. So that's one thing that I love about Cube. Shout outs to Lunacy, making this interface. They really became very meticulous when it comes down to how you can really control your sound design. But first, I'm going to show you a simple drag and drop. It's already a preset that's loaded in here. But we're going to come over to my imperishable bank, one shots. And let's just go ahead and get a guitar. So all right, we're going to get this guitar. I'm going to drag and drop that in here, and as you can see, the sample is loaded. It's loaded inside of bank A, and if we touch our keys, we have that loaded. So let's just say you want to go and dig even deeper and you want to blend some sounds in. So this is the reason why we have 8 different slots. You can basically blend 8 different sounds in one modulator, and one preset is like basically amazing. But for just tutorial purposes, we're going to just do 2. So we got our first sound here. I think this right here is another good sound that's complements that. Let's go with this one. Let's go back to the overview, and we're back inside this original setting. So we're going to take our second guitar and we're going to drag and drop. Now we can even go way more in depth when it comes down to manipulating the sounds. We can cut off certain parts of the samples, we can reverse it, and this is really beneficial for when you can actually plug in whole loops inside of here. So yeah, like it's not even just sounds, you can actually plug in loops. I'm gonna show you guys a little bit more about that later on, but for here we got our 2 sounds, and let's dive deep into a little bit more sound design. So let's come over here to the effects rack, and we can manipulate the filters, EQ, distortion, the dynamics, the chorus, delays, the reverbs, and the limiters on each of our sounds once we select them. So when it comes down to interface, it's really cool, simple to use. You have your different type of filters right here, your different type of low passes, on and off bypass. Come over to the EQ. Totally simple to just click and drag to manipulate the sounds. The distortion as well, saturator, wave shaper, bit crusher. So yeah, you can come over to your effects rack here, and you could just basically manipulate every aspect of the sound or loop that you do inside your inside of the Cube for the presets. You can also come down here to this randomizer FX, and it actually has presets that it just randomly goes through and throws on the sounds just for you to try, and you can like a couple of them and then go inside and actually manipulate the presets as well. So that's a cool feature that it has. The next one, it just has a randomized orbit. We're going to get to that. And the next one is just randomizing the sounds. Now that's going back into the presets that's already rendered inside of there. So if you already got sounds that you have, you can even start off with this randomize sounds and then add your own sounds to it, subtract, do as you please. So when it comes down to Cube and the interface, it's so user-friendly. They really thought of everything. So like I said, we got our sounds inside of the plugins. Let's go over to one of the main features of Cube, and that is the 3D Morph Engine. Now, I know we spoke a lot about that when I was introducing the VST, but now we're going to dig into the visuals of it. So we got our two sounds plugged in. Now remember, we have a sound inside of A and we have a sound inside of B. Now when it comes down to the orbit and the motion, this corner represents, as you can see when you hover over it, it represents the first sound that you drag and dropped. So if we're moving straight to the right, we're going to come back over, and as you can see, sound B is the second sound that we loaded. So check this out. We can have the 3D Morph Engine go from sound A to B and have different modulations while it's going past it. So let me just show you what I'm talking about. So we're going to go to Create New Orbit, and as you can see, it has steps. So they already have like step 1 and step 2. Step 1, we want to go from sound A to sound B. So once we got that step in motion, we're just going to add another step, and we're going to head over to B. Now, as you can see, you can literally draw this ball anywhere. It's a 3D plate. Every corner can be manipulated with a different effect, a different sound, a different modulator, a different LOF. Like, the possibilities are crazy. So, you know, just showing you with the steps, we're going to continue this one here. We're going to come down here. We know there's no sound on here, but I'm going to show you exactly what the modulator does. And we are going to end back at the top. So let's just save that orbit name as test sample. I'm going to go ahead and save. And as you can see, the ball is automatically moving because we got our orbital motion down here set for 1 bar. So we got our two sounds. We derived our melody. So let's go ahead and press play, and we'll see the manipulations between the sounds. Now, as you can see, like I said, we didn't put anything at the bottom here, but we can definitely change that out. But as you can see, the two top sounds are given off the two presets we dropped inside of bank A and bank B, as well as the effects that's already set on the two presets. So if we want, you can come down here to the orbital motion. Once you're changing this, it's actually going to change the speed. That's cool. So yeah, that's how you can basically create your own orbits. Now, like I said, if we want to, we can head right on over to the presets that's there. We have it on test sample, and I can show you a different type of modulations that they have with better details and better effects. But that's definitely how you started off. Part A to part B, you just keep repeating those steps. You dig into the effects, you dig into the presets, and you're basically on your way to sound design. This VST is just like really amazing. I can't believe that more people aren't using it, or if they really are, they're not talking about it. But yeah, I'm throwing that out there. Make sure you go and get Cube. Now that we checked out some of the presets that I dragged and dropped in. Yeah, man. And so yeah, we went through some of the presets. I really had to dig deep into Cube to show you guys how you can definitely sound design. It's just so easy when it comes down to this. You can get so many different vibes. So I advise you guys to go ahead and get Cube, but we're gonna move right along. And the next one is a cool plugin as well. So the next plugin I'm definitely going to talk about is EFX Motions by Atura. So basically EFX Motions is an effects plugin. So it's basically a multi-effect based around like drawable functions generators to create like a variety of like custom motions and modulations. So it has like 6 main modulators: a filter, a noise, distortion, volume, pan, and then a repeat and effects. So, you know, it's basically the typical modulators that you're used to using in any other plugin, you know, effects plugin that you have. So with the exception of the repeat and the FX page, like each of these have their own drawable motions and envelopes. You can find additional 3 modulator sources inside the advanced tabs for like controlling other parameters. But like, let's jump into like the features. So the effects, like the main appeal, like it has like 2 multi-effect slots. Like you can load most of the Atura common effects inside of these, like applying modulations and changing up the leads and doing many type of different experimental sounds to just take your sound design to the next level. Another one is like the filter mode. So like quite a few things, like I said, have the filter option, but on here you can have it standalone for like the low pass, the high pass, and the bypass. So like the notch filters is like curvy, various curves, like symmetries, and like certain type of filters. The next one is like the noise filter. Obviously it's self-explanatory. You can add different type of noise generators to create like large variations on like loop samples and stuff like that. Crackling, like digital tones is really cool. The next one is basically the drive, where you can like have different type of distortions. And on top of all of this, the presets are phenomenal. Like EFX Motions comes with so many presets, like you don't even know what to do, and it's simple for you to go ahead and make your own presets as well. I mean, like when it comes down to the interface, it's not really much more I can say. Like this one is like super groundbreaking. Shout outs to Atura. Like Motions is definitely a Git plugin that I would have to say, just because of all of the presets and all of the different type of manipulations you can do to your sounds, to your loops, to the beat in general. So, you know, definitely take advantage and go ahead and get EFX Motions by Atura if you don't already have. And if you do, drop a comment and let me know how it's helping out your production, or if you even use it. So we're gonna jump into the plugin, and I'm gonna just show you a couple of the effects and how you can really dig into the sound design while using EFX Motions. All right, so you're going to jump right on into Atura Motions. We got our little melody here. Let's go ahead and listen to it without the effects on. Let's go ahead and throw on Motions. And as you can see, it already comes with a preset already on. Amen, please. Let's just check that out. Now again, Atura outdid themselves when it comes down to the interface. It is extremely user-friendly. We have our triggers, dynamics here, filters, up here, noises, volumes, different type of pannings, the effects, repeat, and up here is where you have your presets. Now they went crazy when it comes down to having their presets. Let's go ahead down to the presets menu, the drop down, and as you can see, they have them all categorized. You can go to ambience, beat, repeat, crackles, ducker, FX, gated, glitches, groove, mixing, modulator, stereo, pitch shifter, reverse, riser, saturation, sound, sci-fi, sequence, filtered, shutter, tape stops, and wobble effects. And as you can see inside of each preset, they're broken down into more presets. So let's just go with, being that we have like a piano, let's start off with ambient. So hue swirls, that's amazing. That can be like a great intro, make like a little automation effect. So far we on like 2 presets. It's just fantastic when it comes down to what we already have derived. So let's go through a couple more. I really like the ambient presets. And even when it comes down to a preset that you like and it may be a slight variation off, you can come over here to the FX and you can manipulate, turn the noise and the pan off, and then even come over and manipulate, you know, the different parameters down here inside of the EQs and the filters, flatten out the signs and draw mode. Like it's Atura really went all out when it comes down to making sure that it is extremely user friendly. And I preach that all the time when it comes down to the plugins, because I mean, we got to be able to just move around freely when it comes down to the plugins, even when we're trying out different things. It's so easy to use. Ooh, that's crazy. That's a definite intro right there, or a bridge or something. We definitely gonna share that. Matter of fact, I really like that. I'm gonna save that filter, do a little manipulation to it, and make it my own. But yeah, we went ahead and dive into motions. Like, the filter is super easy to use. Shout outs to Atura. Yeah, if you guys ever use motions, or you know, got experience with it, or even want to just drop in the comments your experience with it, how it help your production. Definitely want to hear you know, what you've been cooking up with motions. So the next plugin that we're gonna roll into has definitely become a big favorite of mine. Like, I've used a lot of their products. Another one I'm very particular to going to. Shout out to Output. This plugin that we're going to be jumping into is Thermal, which is a distortion plugin. Now, like I said, it's become one of my favorites. I'm not sure if you use it. I know a lot of people use Portal, but yeah, Thermal is like cool as well. Like, they have so many different type of presets, so many different type of manipulations that you can do to sounds, to your whole beat, like make automation effects, and it's super easy and friendly when it comes down to like the parameters and the interface. So it has like different modules for like delay, reverb, chorus, and so much more. Then you have your different macros. You can make your different automations, like I said. Like, it also has the X and Y axis accompanying you know, your control and the interface. It has 2 macro knobs. Like, the lo-fi settings is amazing. The VCA controllers are amazing as well. Like, you can really go beyond like the aspect of sound when it comes down to thermal, and just adding a different type of dynamic to whatever type of, you know, melody or beat or loop or, you know, sound that you're trying to create. So shout outs to Output for, you know, definitely putting a lot into thermal. We're definitely going to jump into the plugin here, and I'm going to show you how I manipulate some of the parameters, how I also make some of my presets, save them, and it's real simple and easy. You can check out my last video that I did on the how to make Portal presets. It's basically the same thing. The interface is basically the same when it comes down to thermal and Portal. So let's go ahead and jump right on into the thermal distortion plugin by Output. So before we go ahead and throw on thermal, let's listen to our melody. Throw on thermal, and now we're going to hear the sound with the defect preset on. So like I said, this plugin right here is basically the same interface as Portal. Portal is also, you know, a producer favorite, but Thermal is actually cool too. It comes down to the knobs. The user interface is amazing. Shout outs to Output, but it's not really too much more I can say when it comes down to Thermal. We went ahead and we talked about some of the modulators and manipulations in the introduction. So I'm just going to go through some more of the presets so you can see the different types of effects that it adds to the melody that we already created. And let's say you already chose a preset that you like, but you want to do a couple of more manipulations. All you do is double click on the preset and it brings you over to the main interface of it. And then you can come over here to these knobs over here and bring up the effects. So you can have more control and manipulation on the preset that's already derived. So let's just go ahead and manipulate some of the signs and some of the X and Y controls and the effects on the master chain, as well as the filters as well. So so as you can see, like I said, it's very user friendly. The interface is just about the same as Portal. You can change your effects and your manipulations up here. You can also add different automation effects. I also went ahead and made a video about how to make custom Portal presets. You can go ahead and watch that video and you can follow the same steps in order for you to make thermal presets. So let's just jump into a couple more of the presets. Yeah, so there we go. We got our little preview of Thermal. This has definitely become one of my go-to plugins. So let's go ahead and jump right on into the next one. So we just bust down Output Thermal. Now we're gonna jump into Portal. I already did a video on how you can make presets. Make sure you check that out. Drop a comment if it helped you out. You know what I mean? But with this one, you're just gonna jump into a little bit of the dynamics, what it does, and how I usually use it to manipulate certain sounds. So, you know, basically Portal is like a granular based multi-effect, like focus point on deep manipulation and modulation to both animate and control different type of porters and perimeters manually. So I know I'm like, oh, that was a lot. Like, what the hell? It's super simple. Like swoop, drag, basic parameters, clean interface, very structured, beautifully animated. You know, it has a fully effective interface. Like Portal's effects section is it's like two processors in a series. So like placed between the granulator and like the master bus for like application, like both of the original dry signals and the granulated into like one. So like each of them has their own separate processor where you can, you know, control the input and output, the wet and dry knobs, you know, different type of modulators. So it's like super cool and super easy to use. And I mean, when it comes down to it, like Portal is just like basically opening doors to like different type of manipulations. Like it's well put together, just like Thermal. Again, shout outs to Output. You know, it's basically a great synthesizer engine. They really constructed this plugin very well. So I'm gonna just jump into a few pointers, not too much. But like I said, make sure you watch my last video for you to go ahead and start making your own Portal presets. So again, let's go ahead and hear our melody before we throw on our Portal presets. so let's go ahead and we are going to throw on Portal. And as you can see, when it comes down to Portal, it looks the same just as Thermal. Thermal looks like Portal. Obviously, they're made by the same manufacturer. Output. Let's go ahead and just jump right on into some of the presets. And I also have a couple of presets that I downloaded and a couple of presets banks that I created. If you guys want that, go ahead and drop in the comments Portal presets and I got you. So we heard our melody. Let's go ahead and throw on one of the presets. That's crazy already. Yeah, so like I said, Portal really needs no introduction. I just went ahead and did that for, you know, a lot of people that hasn't used Portal, but it's definitely a producer favorite. Went through some of the plugins. Like I said, check my last video on how to make your own custom preset, Portal presets, and just click the link in the description. I got you guys. So let's go ahead and move right along to the next plugin. So this next plugin is a new plugin I just got put on by another producer. Shout outs to LLB. I asked him a question like, how does he manipulate his guitar samples and stuff like that? And I told him that, you know, I used to have Guitar Rig, but it was like really eating up a lot of my CPU space. So he was just like, hey, have you ever checked out Architect by CORY WONG? I'm like, no. He's like, go ahead and check that out. So long story short, this has definitely become my go-to plugin when I'm using any type of guitar sample. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into the plugin. I'm gonna break down different parameters and things like that, but it's basically like Guitar Rig to me. Just doesn't take up as much CPU space. So shout outs to CORY WONG. You know, it's basically a must-have for like guitarists and different type of guitar sounds. It has super crazy amps in it, like ridiculous pre-amp effects, wahs, like wongs. It's like ridiculous. Like I can't even really like break down every single aspect, but going into it, when I definitely show you the different type of parameters and the different type of presets that the plugin has, yeah, it's amazing. You're definitely gonna want to go ahead and grab that. Check out the link in the description and make sure that you let me know how you like CORY WONG and how it changed your amps and your guitars. So, you know, they have like these added rich, clean signals to like each of the presets, the parameters, like the pre-effects powerhouse, the post-service, the compressors, the overdrive. I mean, they went ridiculous when it comes down to CORY WONG. And I never even knew who he was until like I went on YouTube and I just watched. Like, he is a phenomenal guitarist. And it always takes people like that to like make plugins like this in order for people like us to be able to just emulate beautiful music like that. So shout out to CORY WONG, Architect. But yeah, let's go ahead and just jump on into it. I got a couple of samples and I'm gonna throw this plugin on and show you the effects and how much it brings out the beautifulness in like just every note. Alright, so I got my melody pulled up. I got Omnisphere pulled up, but I turned off all of the effects so we can get us the clean version of the nylon guitar before I put on the CORY WONG plugin. So here is the melody before any presets is on. Let's go ahead and throw on our CORY WONG preset. And as you can see, we already opened up with a preset on it. So we're going to go ahead and press play, and then we are going to mess around with the default presets that's already plugged in. All right, so let's go ahead and go through some of the presets. After going through the presets, whatever one that you find, CORY WONG did a great job when it comes down to the interface. Like I said, I preach on user friendly. So, you know, coming up here, you have your different type of pedals you can change to, your different type of effects, your strum, you got the highs, normals, the stereo, mono, and right down here is the different type of amps that you can change from, and the different type of presets within the amps down here. You can also link and unlink each of the parameters so you can choose and swap up. So it's like really, really cool. Factory presets as well. So you got a lot of different things that you can definitely, you know, manipulate when it comes down to the CORY WONG. The interface, like I said, is very user friendly. Let's dive into a little bit more deeper. Looking at the interface a little closer, you can come down here inside of your tuner. That's very important, I guess, when you're coming down a live recording and things like that. The tuner is good to have. Even when you're messing around with loops and midis. This button over here, you can go over here and show your MIDI mappings. You come up here and you can change the pedals right here. We got the different type of amps that you can go ahead and activate and manipulate in this icon. This is the original set that we came on, showing you which preset you're on, or which amp that you're on, or which stereo that you're using. You can come over here and you can mess around with, like, this is basically the EQ, highs, mids, and lows. This right here is the mix to stereo. You can dig more deep into like the manipulation, coming down to adding 2 different variations of the CORY WONG presets in one, and mix and mastering them down here. And then we also have like the delay pedal and like the wash pedal. So when it comes down to it, like I said, it's so friendly. You can mess around with all of the presets here and get your own like sound design going on. I love the way that he just orchestrated the whole guitarist like simulation inside of this one little plugin. And like I said, it's very CPU user friendly. But yeah, make sure you guys go ahead and check out CORY WONG. Leave a link in the description. But that's it for the volume 2 VSTs and plugins for 2025. Appreciate everybody joining. Like I said, take advantage of the links in the description. If you have any comments, make sure that you go ahead and drop them down below. If you definitely are feeling this list, make sure you share with a producer friend. Appreciate you guys. And even if you have any presets or plugins like that you like yourself and you want me to do a review on, or you want me to just try out in general and you think that might be better than the ones that I'm always showcasing now, drop a comment. Definitely appreciate you guys.